The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
A Jets insider is questioning Aaron Glenn's impact on the Jets culture. We'll tell you what they said and give you my thoughts. It's the Jake Asman Show. That and much more. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Show number 2 on the day. If you missed the first one, Matt O'Leary joined us for an awesome conversation about CJ Mosley, who announced earlier today on his 33rd birthday that he is retiring. So salute to CJ. We spent a lot of time on the first show talking about his Jet career and what could be next for him and what could be next for the Jets at linebacker with Jamie Sherwood and Quincy Williams here for another year. So check that out if you missed it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we dive into what Brian Costello said on the New York Post Gangs All Here podcast, quick plug for the Patreon, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Get in our Discord. A bunch of you have signed up this week. Thank you for that. If you want discounted tickets and a discounted hotel room for the Tampa Bay game, Jets fans, all that info and much more is on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. One of the people who signed up for the year is Eli Betts, who won a signed CJ Mosley jersey earlier in the show. And Eli paying it forward. How about a 10 spot of channel memberships before I could even get through the monologue? Let's go, Eli.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Thank you to Eli. And I'll just spoil it. I wrote it in the Discord. At the end of the show, let's do another awesome giveaway for all the Jet fans tuned in. Justin Fields jersey. You tell me the size. I send it to you if you win the jersey at the end of the show. So gift the membership like Eli did. To enter, Eli's already got 10 raffle tickets in our Fields jersey raffle at the end of the show. Now, with that said, let's first hear from Brian Costello. He was on his own podcast, Gangs All Here, with good friends of the show, Ryan Sampson, and everyone's favorite, Frankie V. And this was Kaz being asked by Ryan about Aaron Glenn and the influence he's had on the Jets culture. Interesting answer here from Kaz. Take a listen, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Do you sense there's a culture shift here, Kaz, under Aaron Glenn?
Yeah, because there's a new coach. There's always a culture shift. But there was a culture shift under Robert Saleh. There was a culture shift under Adam Gase. There was a culture shift under Todd Bowles. They're always different than the last guy. So here's what I feel with culture is culture's great in April, May, June. Like, you can pretty much do what you want to do, right, and establish what you want and say all the right things. If you don't win, the culture goes out the window. Like, the culture has to be reinforced by winning, and that will make guys buy into the program. You gotta show them that you can put them in the right positions and win games. I thought Saleh was on his way in 2022. Honestly, I thought he'd created a winning culture, and then the season collapsed, and they went to Aaron Rodgers, and that changed the culture. But like, you go back to 22 when they're winning in Green Bay, like they're winning in Pittsburgh. That stretch in October, like,
right,
the vibes were high.
But you would also agree that I think Saleh didn't manage the culture well when it came to the whole Mike White, Zach Wilson situation, and that kind of uglied the locker room a little bit because guys noticed Mike White was slinging it around, and it's like, we can win with Mike White also, even though there was this number 2
but he
pick.
went to Mike White. He did go to Mike White.
Right, but then you still had guys wearing the T-shirts, right?
But when Mike White was starting, he already switched to Mike White.
But
the T-shirt thing, yeah, I mean, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Those players have admitted that was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, they regret doing that. A lot of those guys that I talked to, I don't know if that was Saleh's fault, right? I think that was just guys making shirts. So the culture went off the rails kind of 23, 24, obviously. But, yeah, to me, it's all about winning, Ryan. Like the culture will, like if you go back to Rex's culture was great when they were winning, and then Rex's culture wasn't so great when they started losing. So yeah, but culture, right? Like, yeah, there's clearly a different culture right now, and Aaron Glenn is he's a louder coach. He's more aggressive. I think him being a former player is huge. I think guys respect that. So yeah, he's changed it. But now he's got to win games, or it doesn't really matter that they're all buying in Julian. And I'll say this about the minicamp: he showed me something on the last day of minicamp when he made it a light practice, because all we've heard about him is like, oh, he's a disciplinarian, he's a hard ass. The last day of practice, he's got the offensive lineman running patterns. At one point they were doing like running plays as offensive linemen just together. He had the receivers. They were doing like double passes to the quarterbacks. Like it was like an hour long, but it wasn't paintball or going to like Topgolf like some which we've seen coaches do. They were all out there together, but he knew like to take his foot off the gas and let them have fun. And so that showed like he can do both sides, which I think is important.
So I think a lot of Jet fans, the immediate reaction to anything someone on the Jets beat says that could be construed as negative is to say they're wrong. But I agree with a lot of that from Brian Costello. I think that's a fair assessment. I think culture is an overrated word in sports, right? I think we throw that word around. Oh, he's changing the culture. But a lot of times we're too quick to say that someone has changed the culture. Culture doesn't just change in an offseason, and it really doesn't even change in just a season. It takes years to establish a winning culture. You could have a flash in the pan year. That doesn't mean the culture has changed. The example being Adam Gase went to the playoffs in his first year as the Dolphins head coach. That happened. Right? Rex Ryan had a great culture the first 2 years when they were winning, and then as the rosters got worse and they lost, oh, the Jets are a clown show. They don't have a culture. So I think Aaron Glenn has done a nice job thus far overall. But we're not judging him based on the only thing that ultimately matters, and that's wins and losses. We're judging him based on quotes, the opinions of others on coaches he hired, the opinion on draft picks and free agent signings they've made, right? Like, these are things that we easily could all be wrong on. We were wrong on last year's team. Most of us thought at the bare minimum, even if you weren't sold on Robert Saleh and company, that the team was too talented to not at least be a 9 or 10 win team, right? That was the floor. So you just don't know. Oh, the culture, winning is the only way you could create a culture, right? A winning culture. The culture is definitely different. Like, Glenn is going to do things different, and he should. I don't know if that's culture, though, right? That's just like every coach has their own way of doing things. Like, we have to come up with another word than, the culture with Glenn is different. The way the Jets operate to get ready for a season is going to be different. We know they're going to tackle more in training camp, for example, have live tackling periods. But, I don't know. That, to me, is not really culture. Like, we got to wait a couple years and see where the Jets are at to determine whether or not they've established a winning culture. There'll be a new culture, right? If that's the bare minimum. Like, things are going to be different. Things were different, as Kaz brought up, from Gase to Saleh to now Glenn. But a winning culture, that takes time. Like, that's not – the Jets could go 9-8, and I wouldn't say they got a winning culture necessarily. We got to let it breathe. Like, Tom Thibodeau, you want an example of culture? Culture is what Tibbs did when he took over a team that won 20 games, and then they doubled their win total in year one and went to the playoffs. And then in his 5 years as the Knicks coach, they won a playoff round in the last 3, made the playoffs 4 of the 5 years. Like, that was clearly a winning culture was established because the Knicks were a lot like the Jets. They were a dumpster fire, and then the right people came in and turned things around. Don't get me started on where the Knicks currently are with their coaching search. I'd rather not dive into that now. But, like, the point is, like, it takes time. It's not just like a one-year thing. But that doesn't mean, as we talked about yesterday on the show, that Aaron Glenn can't have success in year one. Because I think he can. And history, as I talked about yesterday, is actually on his side with this. A lot of Jet coaches have had success in year one. Bill Parcells took over a 1-win team, right? They went 9-7 in year one. Al Groh had a winning record. It was only a year, but he had a winning record. Herm went to the playoffs in year one. Mangini went to the playoffs in year one. Rex went to the playoffs in year one. Bowles had a winning record. Haven't had one since in year one. Obviously, Gase was 7-9, and that team was a lot worse on the record. They were 1-7, and then beat some awful teams down the stretch, whatever. And Saleh took over an expansion level team, so his first year, like, I'm not going to evaluate that roster. That roster was terrible. But this team's got talent. So Glenn, if he's a good coach, like, I don't know if he's going to change the culture, but he could get the guys on the team that had down years last year to play better. Is that a winning culture? Or that's just a guy who's a good football coach. Like, culture takes time, is my point. It takes more than 1 year. So I actually don't disagree with a lot of what Brian Costello is saying. I think the defense of the T-shirts and all that, yeah, like, that's not a good look. That a real coach should not have let that happen. I do agree with that. I regret giving Saleh, at the time, a bigger pass than he probably deserved for that. I should have been more critical in hindsight. But ultimately, I'm not going to criticize that take, and I'm also not going to criticize Glenn because I think he's done a good job so far. Now, with the caveat being, he's undefeated. He hasn't lost a game. How is he going to be if they lose week 1 to Aaron Rodgers? How do they respond week 2? You know, can they save their season before falling to 0-3 when we're in Tampa? If that happens, right? Like that's when it gets real. That's when you learn, hey, do we have something here? How's Fields going to play? Like, that's when we learn about culture and the coaching staff. But as far as, like, giving the Jets an identity, giving the Jets direction, feeling like you have a real leader in charge, I think he's done all that, which is all you really could hope he could do in his first offseason, taking over a building that needed to be fumigated because the stench of losing I could smell from my apartment here in Manhattan right now. So I think ultimately time's going to tell, and we're doing a show every day talking about this team, so it's boring if I go, time will tell, we'll see, but that's a lot of what this is right now. How am I supposed to tell you what Justin Fields is, or what Aaron Glenn is, or what Tanner Engstrand is? I don't know. You don't know. We could be hopeful. We could be like Peter Castro and say 11 wins, or we could be like JJ and say Fields to the Ring of Honor. I hope those guys are right. We don't know. We do know that Glenn comes from a great background. We do know that he's qualified to be the head coach of this team. We do know that he's genuine when he says it's his dream job. I believe him. I believe him when he's up there at the podium. I don't think it's an act, as people have said last week in the media it was. I don't think it is. I disagree with that. I think this is who he is. But Robert Saleh didn't fail because he was too nice to the media or was bad at press conferences. He failed because ultimately he wasn't a good enough coach. Andy Reid's the nicest guy. Bill Belichick was a douche. Both guys are two of the greatest football coaches ever, right? So, like, you know, the podium stuff, win games. Nick Sirianni had a disastrous first press conference. The guy won the Super Bowl last year. There's so many examples of that. So much of it is your quarterback, but as we've learned, the coach does bear responsibility for other elements of the team. You can't just blame it all on the quarterback. Even though at times, yeah, the quarterback could be the biggest detriment in stopping you from winning. They even talked about it in that clip we just played. I do believe if Mike White had stayed healthy in 2022, Robert Saleh would have had the Jets in the playoffs that year. They were 6-3, 7-4. I don't think they lose to the Lions, the Jaguars, Seattle, and Miami all down the stretch if White had remained healthy. They maybe don't win all those games if he remained healthy, but I could tell you with the way the defense was playing that year and the way the offense actually looked with White at quarterback, they were way better. They had a chance. And what would happen then? Like, if they had made the playoffs, like, is Robert Saleh all of a sudden like a great coach? No, like, things happen. But I think when you look at where the Jets are right now, I think Glenn's done everything you could hope he could do to this point. And if you believe in Aaron Glenn, you got to believe he hired a good coaching staff. And most importantly, hired a good offensive coordinator. Because I'm very confident in the defense being good this year. I really am. I think Steve Wilkes is a really good defensive coordinator. And I think there's talent on this defense. I keep going through it. I actually did a guest spot that was recorded this afternoon on the Off the Pike podcast, which is the Ringer's Boston sports podcast. They had me on, Brian Barrett. Shout out to him for an AFC East preview. And we were talking about the Jets, and I brought up the fact, I mean, look, not for nothing, but this defense grossly underachieved last year. And a lot of the players that had down years, what if they have good years this year? Like, what if I tell you right now, Quinnen, Quincy, and Sauce are 2023 versions of themselves? This is a top 10 defense at the bare minimum. They all were bad last year for their standards, right? The only player who was better than what we could have imagined they were going to be was Sherwood, and I guess you could argue McDonald, but McDonald's production really tailed off in the second half. I think he only had 2.5 sacks the last 10 games. It was very front-loaded. This team, if they're better coached with Glenn, defensively, I think they're going to be pretty good. It all comes down to Fields, comes down to this offense. I was asked to pick a player that could define the Jets season outside the quarterback, and I said Breece Hall. Because if Breece Hall reminds everyone why he was going first overall in some fantasy drafts this season, then this team could be pretty good on offense. They were winning games with Breece Hall running wild as a rookie in 2022 before he got hurt. That happened. We all remember that. It was a lot of fun. And then the Denver game happened. They lose Breece and AVT in the same quarter, and the Jets were never right after that. But Breece has shown you he could win you games with Zach Wilson as your quarterback. Now I think Fields could help him in that regard. So I think there's some hope here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to be great, but there's a path to it. But there's also a lot of unknowns. But the culture can't be changed overnight. And I'll continue to say a line I've used for years. The only way you change a culture is to win games, and win games over time, not just a flash in the pan, one good season. It takes more than that. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. I'm going to pin the Gusbuster Umbrella hotline for people to tune in, or people to call in, I should say. Reminder, if you haven't been tuning into the show the last couple of days, until the start of Jets training camp, if you call in, you get a raffle ticket, as long as your call is hitting on something related to whatever's going on during the show that day. Another way to say thank you to all the diehard Asmaniacs who are tuned into Jet content during the slow months here of June and early July. That raffle ticket is good for our weekly raffles and our daily raffle prizes on shows. We have a daily raffle like this one. End of the show, giving away a Justin Fields jersey. If you win, you got to email me the address to send it to and the size you want it in, and I will get it ordered for you after the show. So gift a membership to be eligible. And our weekly raffle prize targeting Monday for the raffle this week, signed Joe Namath football, signed Darrelle Revis football, signed Wayne Corbett jersey, and a signed Kevin Mawai jersey. With that said, agree or disagree with Brian Costello? Super chats cut the line, so fire those off. Kevin starts us off here, and he says Saleh was the best coach we had since Bowles. I mean, what are the options? Gase and Ulbrich? Then yeah, I would say you're right, but that's not really saying much. Saleh, best coach since Bowles. Okay, so he's better than Gase. Got it. Or Jeff Ulbrich, if we count him. Understood. Am I missing part of the joke here or something? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin. Black Gypsy in the raffle. We know he loves himself, Justin Fields. He's gifted a membership. Black Gypsy, thanks for supporting the channel. Let's get to your calls. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the Justin Fields is Great coalition is on the line. And it appears like he is enjoying this beautiful, warm day. Ladies and gentlemen, to the Gusbuster hotline we go, where we say hello to the great Peter Castro.
Oh, shit.
Look at this guy.
You hear me?
Oh, no, you sound like a robot, Peter. But you look great. You look very relaxed.
You hear me?
Oh, I hear you, but you sound like you're underwater.
Yeah, all of a sudden, when you switched over to me, it started making static. You hear me? No. Oh, shit.
Call back, Peter. I love a good Peter Castro call. God, he looked refreshed there. He looked great. Let's get to more of your calls. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Gusbuster Umbrella hotline is an injured Asmaniac that we all need to stand by during this difficult time.
Purple belt Mike, he loves the dark knight. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that purple belt Mike. Purple belt Mike, it might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Nah, man. Not the news I wanted. Wasn't even a realm of what we thought it could be, but fully tore my ACL.
Fully torn?
fully torn.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have a bigger comeback season than Adrian Peterson in 2012.
Adrian Peterson came back in 6 months, didn't he?
I don't remember. I just know he won the MVP off the ACL injury, which was insane.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then GSP actually won a title after he tore his ACL. ACL surgery is not bad in the sense of like complexity. It's just a recovery time. Most people, which I'm not Adrian Peterson, so I ain't doing 6 months, but be like 8 to 12 months. But they did give me this brace.
All right.
This I can walk way better than obviously I was yesterday without it. So it's like supporting, but right here in the front, in this area, that's the ACL, which I learned today, and that's what tore.
Barbarossa just wrote in, PBM will win the Asmaniac tourney next year. That's the comeback we need. I can see it now.
Oh,
PBM.
man, that would be awesome.
From an ACL injury to an Asmaniac Madness champion.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. I am depressed. I'm not going to tell you I'm not. I was really hoping I'd get my purple belt this summer. I mean, on my brown belt this summer. I thought I was. I was having such a good day on Wednesday, man. I was doing so good. I was on my way. So
I'm sorry, Mike, but
sucks.
You'll be okay. It's just obviously a major inconvenience, but it's not like it's a life ender for you. We'll all rally around you the best we can.
Yeah, like people were saying, like could be my neck, could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
And maybe, this is God's way of saying, to put me on desk duty so I'm not out in the field, maybe to prevent something that might happen or something. So you don't know. So the positivity, maybe it happened for a reason. That's good. So we'll see what happens.
Would you sacrifice your ACL for a Jets playoff season? Because maybe you have done it.
Maybe. I sacrificed the ACL just to win 9 games.
9 and 8, baby.
So we'll see. We'll see, man. Well, I'm sad, but at the same time, it could be worse. There's positive outlook here. It's only a setback, and I'll come back stronger. So I got the appointment on Friday the 27th with the surgeon. He's going to discuss, I guess, whatever the hell he's got to talk about first, and then I'll have a surgery appointment and go from there.
Mike, all the love, man. I'm sorry, but
it's all good.
We got your back.
Yep. You'll be seeing more of me, I think.
That's the only positive. We're going to hopefully get more PBM calls.
Yeah, you'll see me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Purple Knee Mike.
Purple belt Mike, he loves the dark night. He's got a green pool and he jumps right in. Maybe someday he'll get a brown belt, but for now he's just that purple belt Mike. Purple belt Mike, it might be purple, but he can still kick your dirty ass.
Man, I'm sorry, Mike. That stinks. Gator doesn't have to update the intro for a while, seemingly, because there's a line in there about maybe someday he'll be a brown belt. God. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the PBM emoji in the chat. Send your best wishes to Mike. More of your calls right now. Reminder, every call earns a raffle ticket. And if you're tuning in late, I'm going to give away a Justin Fields jersey at the end of the show. We did one yesterday. We're doing a Fields one today. And then on the first show, I gave away a signed CJ Mosley jersey that Eli won, obviously in honor of CJ announcing his retirement. And since we signed off the air, I did some digging with some people I know that cover the Ravens. Apparently, CJ reached out to Baltimore to see if they would bring him back on like a 1-year deal so he could chase a ring. His neck is just not right yet. That's why he retired. Like, I don't know if he would have been able to pass a physical. So I think that's why he was unsigned to this point. This is what I've heard from people that cover the Ravens. So I'm just relaying this. So I think ultimately, CJ did what was best for his health. I mean, he made a ton of money, turned 33 today. So, look, if he wants to get into coaching, hopefully he coaches the Jets. I mean, bring him in, coaching internship, whatever. I mean, he's essentially a coach last year, right? I mean, we all heard about how involved he was in helping Sherwood and Quincy. So, if he wants to do it, I think there's an opportunity for him, but I don't know what he wants to do next. Party with Peg and Artie in the raffle for 5. Peg, Artie, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the following 5 listeners are now channel members. Lorenzo Ramos, JR24, Anthony Skull, Bill Gates, and Mark Levine. More of your calls. JoJo, 5-spot channel memberships. Thank you, JoJo. JoJo repping the esteemed 4.5% female demo. If you hear your name, thank JoJo. McNally, Illuminati, Joe Quat, Minnesota Jet fan, and Owen Escalestisco. I definitely botched that one, but thank you, JoJo. You're in the raffle for 5. Good luck. Let's get to some calls now, shall we? Gusbuster Hotline is where we go. Where standing by is seemingly a guy who had an outstanding day based on what he was posting in the Discord earlier today. Is he inside or outside? That is for all of you to decide. It is Clifton time.
Yes, it was a good day today. Only one Moscow Mule, as I said, on the patio on Jamaica Bay today. But, I got a good amount of exercise. We did some weed pulling around the house. We did some shopping, the kids and I. They went out on their scooters a little bit. It was, it was a good day off.
Highly productive.
Yeah. And thank you very much. I received my my Beck jersey. So
let's go.
So whatever you want to call it, like getting the most out of the players, process, culture. Towards the end, it wasn't working for Salah, right? Like you just said that 3 of our best players on defense had down years for them. We can't have that, right? We got to have these guys performing at their best, whatever the reasons were. I think you and I and a bunch of people in the community feel like it might have been coaching towards the end. And it's the little things. Like, I keep on coming back to, like, you can have a guy like Rodgers, who's a veteran guy, and you can have him go to Egypt. What you can't have is have him let the coach be the fall guy for delivering that news. If you're the leader of the team and you're serious about getting the team to the next level and winning and setting a culture as the quarterback, you can't let him take the fall for that. Like that's one of the things that drove me a little nuts about Rodgers. I mean, the ability to process the arm, that might be there for years. But like it could be that Rodgers just wasn't the guy for winning at this point in his career. It's just a matter of getting the best out of your players. And I feel like Glenn might be able to do that. Like the fact that Will McDonald showed up 15 pounds heavier, I feel like Will McDonald got those double-digit sacks kind of by accident, right? He's got so much physical talent. He's someone who really had no physicality to his game, no real clue about what he's doing, right? He was playing out of position for what we had him doing as compared to college. Like, let's have him start setting people up with counter moves and stuff like that. There are guys that can take extra steps to get better. Sauce with his tackling. I guess Quincy with some of the little things that with missed tackles and stuff like that. Like there is a lot left on the table, specifically for the defense of this team, and in the running game on the offensive side of the ball, and that's what we're trying to extract by doing the things what Glenn feels is the right way, and hopefully that'll be the case this coming year. All we can do is hope, right? Like you said, it's going to come out in the wash with the wins and the losses. But I feel like to some degree we've got someone who's a little bit more serious minded, a bit more of an ass kicker, and usually when you have kind of a sea change from one type of coach to the next, you do see some sort of a bounce right away, and that's what I'm looking for.
I do think bringing in the total opposite style of coach is a good thing, because I felt like going from Saleh to then even Ulbrich, it was a country club by the end of it there. Like, it was just guys going through the motions. No one was ever disciplined. That's how you have a defense that led the NFL in penalties. That's how you get quotes from Jeff Ulbrich that Hassan Reddick is the most selfless player he's ever been around. Like, it was a rotten building last year. And I think Glenn coming in, he could straighten that out in an offseason, as long as they now see some results. Like, that's the big thing why I talk about getting off to a good start, because then you get even more buy-in. It's like, hey, everything this guy's telling us to do, it's actually working. Wow, we're winning games, you know? Did we lose Clifton? I think we did. I thought my points was so salient that he was just taking it all in. Turns out he was just frozen. More of your calls right now. We tried this guy before, and we had some tech issues, but I'm hoping we figured it out, because when you get Peter Castro in the pool, all bets are off on what's going to happen on the show.
Weed, this is for you. Oh, shit.
Peter?
Yes, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good.
You look great. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, well, I'm practicing, basketball right now. Kids are coming soon. Never lost a game. Do whatever you have to do to win. That's what they have to learn how to do. They got to do whatever they have to do to win. They got rid of all the poisons out of the building. They're all gone. You know what? They're going to be good. Watch and see. It's going to maybe be a couple of games. Not the first game, though, but after that, it'll probably be a couple of games where they get their act together. But they're going to be excellent, excellent. They had no coaching, none. Saleh was a jerk. Ulbrich was a bigger jerk. Hackett was bigger jerk than the two of them. He had no shot of a good team. No shot whatsoever. Now you got rid of all that shit. Got it out of here. It's all gone. It's all gone. Now you play football. And they got the right coach. And I kind of think they got the right offensive coordinator, too. This kid is no dummy. He knows what he's talking about. He's pretty good.
You like Gangster? You like the cut of his jib?
Yeah, I think the Jets are going to be a lot better than you think. I don't care what these announcers say. They don't know shit anyway. They all have something to say. The culture, this, that. It's not culture. You got to learn how to win. When you learn how to win is when your culture changes. Because you want to win every week. You don't just want to win one game and then lose 5. You want to win all the time. And they have the talent to win now. The talent is there now for them to win. It's just a matter of time, Jake. It's just a matter of time. I can't wait for the football season to start because I can't stomach watching baseball anymore.
Well, the Yankees won today. We scored some runs.
That shortstop's got to go.
Volpe?
I can't take him anymore. He gets up in a million big spots. He never gets a big hit. He makes errors in the field, and he's stupid. Out. I want him out. Put Pizzazzo in there, whatever his name is. He's better.
Peraza. They're not getting rid of Volpe just yet. He's streaky. He's a very frustrating player. I'm not his biggest fan, but they're not getting rid of him.
Ugh, he's terrible. He's terrible. I don't know. How does it, you go 5 games and nobody can hit? All of a sudden they just can't
baseball.
hit.
I don't know. They had the best offense in Major League Baseball, and then they stopped hitting. It's the most baseball thing ever. Hopefully it's not a trend now. They got to start rattling off some wins to make up for the 6 games in a row they lost.
Well, they do this every year. You see my jet flag and my Yankee flag?
I can't see it from the angle you're showing us right now.
How about that?
Hold on, let me go full screen. I see a flag waving. I can't tell. It looks like an American flag.
Yeah, and underneath it is a jet flag.
So it's tough to see from here. But I will say you seem very relaxed in the pool. I feel like everything's going swimmingly for you.
Oh, I love it. Today's the first day that I can use the pool.
Did you wear sunscreen?
What?
You put on sunscreen?
No.
No?
Can't stand it. It's in my eyes and I can't stay. Tomorrow night, night out with Neil.
All coaching staff stinks. The team is never prepared. They're undisciplined. They make a million mistakes. And the coaching staff is terrible. He doesn't know what he's doing. Hackett and him are like having two drug addicts on the sidelines. They're no good. And if Rodgers doesn't fix this, we're all going to kill ourselves. What happens after Rodgers? They have no plan for that. It's going to be 10 more years of being the shit.
We've come a long way with Castro's belief in Aaron Glenn, because that's how he felt about the previous coaching staff. Peter, we were losing your connection there. It was good at the beginning, and then, well, it sounded like you were actually underwater. But good call from Peter Castro on the pool there. That might have been, was that our first pool call of the summer? I think it might have been. I don't know if we're going to get a Purple Belt Mike pool call with his injury. I know Neil is probably good for a call from the pool. I'll tell you what. Effective immediately, if you call in from your pool, you get 5 raffle tickets instead of 1 on your call. You know, that's ridiculous. That's way too many. That's unfair to people that pay. How about we'll do, should I do 2 or 3? I'll let the chat decide. Pool calls, they worth 2 tickets or 3? Chat, you decide. Informal poll right now. Mike Perez with a super chat. We have new ad-libs from Peter this year. That we do. Dave Briga also wanted to know, by the way, if Peter Castro was wearing sunscreen. People are saying 2 tickets. We'll go with 2. 2 if you call from the pool. Barbarossa says, don't be a classist. Yeah, you're right. Not everyone has a pool. All types of pool, by the way. All right, kiddie pools count. Where our next caller was apparently hanging out at earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, Connor Long. Connor? Never mind. I just kind of threw him out there. Eli says, belly flop, get you 3 tickets. I like that. You do a belly flop, 3 tickets. 3 tickets for a belly flop. Speaking of bellies, how's this for a segue?
You know what time it is? A beef breaker, 666. I'm gonna take my fist and shove it up your ass, and then he gotta go.
Hey, Beast.
I was just watching some what's called here something in downtown Miami. Some local idiots trying to steal stuff in the store. It's like, kids, what a world we live in today. What a weird world. Peter Castro got a good pull. I'll tell you that. That was a good pull that I saw. Real nice. I'd love to have that, but one day, one of these days. But we'll see what happens first.
Where's your pull, Beast?
It will take time. It's right. It's right now we have a heat wave going on. Gotta be patient.
That's the best time to get a pull. Oh, Connor Long's here. Connor, where'd you come from?
I got 300
Jake,
people.
how you doing? What's up, Jake?
How did you get on the show?
Oh, we got these other guys right here. Dr. Connor, Dr. Josh. What's going on, you 2 guys?
Hold on. Beast, hold on a second. I got to figure out how that happened. StreamYard glitched and somehow just threw a random caller on hold on the air. That should not have happened. Anyway.
Take care of that. Take care of it.
All right. You're the guy who's supposed to be able to take care of it. You're the tech guy, I thought.
I know. We'll go one at a time. One at a time. You flip them first, and then I'll go next. Where's my hair on that? That don't look right.
Blame Dixon. I guess he forgot the hair.
Hey, Dixon, you dummy! You gotta redo. You gotta redo that. You goomba.
Would you silence, or should I do one of these?
All right, Beast. Thank you. Now we'll get to Connor and Josh. They somehow got on the air. I don't know how, but we'll actually get him on the air for real this time. Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah. What's up, Jake? How you doing?
Hi, Jake.
Connor and Josh hanging out. School's out. I think this has got to be a StreamYard issue because everyone's having connection issues. Call back, Connor, Josh. We'll get you back on. You know what they say? If you can't connect with someone in the U.S., you go international. Australian Jets fan is next from Finland. Hello, AJF.
Hey, Jake.